Why don't we open up to a few questions directly if you want to come up and ask a question off this microphone so we can get it. Here you go.
I really appreciate this discussion. It was very lively. I really appreciate your comments, Darshini. I think it took a lot of courage for Darshini to talk up in a very different way than the other panelists. The kind of work I do is I'm a psychologist. And I agree with you that the changes have already started. And I think they started last year, 2009. I think they have come strong in 2010. And a lot of people are freaking out. I think there's a lot of psychiatric emergencies. And I think there's a lot of New Agers that are not doing well. So my question to Darshini is this. How do you embrace the dark side in the New Age? Okay, and I think that a lot of New Agers have a hard time saying no. No to themselves, no to others. And I think we have to learn how to say no. Otherwise you can get pretty depressed. Otherwise you can find yourself getting anxious. Maybe you can start seeing UFOs that are not there. You can start hallucinating and having delusions. Because sometimes UFOs don't exist. You can go psychotic and end up in a psychiatric hospital. Psychiatric hospitals are not that far away from here. So I'd like to know what you mean. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that, Darshini.
Okay. Thank you for your question. That's a loaded gun, quite frankly. Thanks for shooting it to me, I think. But my clients know how brutally honest I am, and I will tell you, you have to ride the wave. And, you know, you're going to be down to the bottom in the ocean. There are a lot of people here that, as I said, there's a lot of depression, anxiety, a lot of suicides, near suicides. But, you know, there's also the other wave. And you're going to go back up and down. You have to focus, and it's easy saying, oh, I'm positive and everything like that. Sometimes it doesn't work, okay? I'm a realist. And what you have to do is to, and I strongly, strongly believe, and I know everyone on this panel knows it, that your guides, angels, whatever you want to call them, are there to help you. If you don't ask, you don't get. All right, so it's not, you can either pray or ask. It sounds simple, but you know it is as simple as that. But you can get through it. And fear is really of something you really know, but you don't want to acknowledge, because it means growth in your life, that it's going to be growth outside your little security square. And that is fearful. But for that, if you can go with it, like the salmon up the river and fight, you will be there. I trust you. They're all around you. I hope that answers it.
Thank you, Darshini. We'll come down in a moment.
The Hopis and many ancient cultures speak about the day of great purification that we're in, and that it's a cycle. The Sumerians talk about 3,600-year cycle of Nibiru, planet X, returning. And when that happens every time, it brings a lot of natural disasters, and after it is in our area of the cosmos, the sun no longer rises in the position that it was. And this is the fourth or fifth time, this is the fifth world, after it happens again. And so there will be major disruption of natural disasters, and then the sun will no longer rise in the east, and we'll be in a fifth world, a new world, and everything will be different. So I think...
You're asking for perspective on
yeah.
that? Yeah. Does anybody have a perspective on that question? I believe we're asking for perspective on, as he put it, the fifth movement of the planets, the planetary alignment, and how that in the past, from what we've learned, has spawned you know, the natural disasters, the adjustments in our physical or our geological world.
We have to understand that consciousness is not a human thing only. Consciousness exists in different bodies in different proportions. Consciousness and evolution does not need human beings. And in that sense, there's nothing special about us. Just like the world does not need me, and it would be exactly the same without me, the universe will be exactly the same without humans. Even without biological life, consciousness continues. There was a point on the life of the earth 500 million years ago when there was no life other than a few microscopic creatures. The continent was one continental plate. There were no movements of rivers. There were no currents under the ocean. There was no oxygen, no atmosphere. See? A big disaster happened then, a huge one. That a meteorite that broke the continental plates and divided the continents. They began then to move, and in the movement of the continents, the waters begin to move, and the rivers begin to happen, mountains begin to erupt, and the movement that this creates inside the core of the earth produces this magnetic film, magnetic aura around the earth that allows for oxygen to happen. Now, oxygen, the oxygen on the planet, when it appears, that was one of the most toxic, catastrophic things that ever happened in this planet. All life, as little life as there was, ceased to exist because of that. Oxygen was a poison. This poison brought all the variations of life that we know now. You're correct, as the Hopi said, as all the ancients have said, that big shift comes with great disasters all the time. We haven't always survived those disasters. We have existed before and we have died before. It might happen again. We can survive if we grow smart enough and we know how to surf these waves. Okay? Just believing falsely won't do it. That's when you embrace everything that is about us. That's when we need to realize that my own survival is not necessary, and that I would have it only if I can align myself with the big cosmic currents. The planet is awakening. The sun is going through something. See? And what our heart is going through is only a tiny microscopic reflection of that. To think that because we are human, we are going to survive is ludicrous. Let me say in another way. To think that because we are American, we have something special, that's ludicrous. We are consciousness. As the ants, as the owls, as the trees, as the wind, as the earth is. And that will not perish, that will not die. The disasters happen, and they bring change, they bring life, always changes in life. Even if we disappear as the people, we will continue as the consciousness, as the reflections of the divine, whether with bodies of ants, owls, wind, planets, suns. The truth of what we are cannot be erased, ever. We continue to play, brother. We continue the game. The game does not end.
We're back to that special word, truth. Thank you for that, Koyote. Wow, it's a great